So this isn't just we're being the jerks and clearing out a park. This is a sanitary issue because those rats were going to still be around during the day when the kids showed up.
So this is a good opportunity to talk about another thing that happens. So I live in this community, you live in this community, we go to churches in this community, and people want to help. Like, people with means want to help. They want to see, they don't fully understand the problem sometimes, but they have this simple view of homelessness as someone who can't find a house and has no food. Right. And so as people, what do? Well, we try to feed them. I don't have room in my house to bring in people. I don't know these people, and so that's not really an option. But I can feed people, and so
got an extra blanket,
blankets, food. I'm sorry, clothes.
Yeah, clothes. Right.
Because it seems obvious. How can I help these people? It's coming into winter. How can I help these individuals? And so, what happens then with these well-meaning people? Carloads of stuff dropped off with these individuals. What happens?
Yeah. So a story I have, and if we're fast forward just a little bit here, people went from the parks and open spaces towards our city hall, and there's where the crescendo occurs. It's everything, the great culmination of all things, all people that were in the community that were homeless came to one spot.
Because the street cops are just squeeze,
right.
and
solving problems, creating more problems.
And the people are just the individuals are getting upset. Like, every night we lay our heads down, you wake us up, and it's like you're laying your head down in a place that's not lawful. And so they're like, where do we go? And so every night we're squeeze to one single night where you say it crescendos, and there's a pilgrimage from all over town to overnight. Dozens, if not hundreds of people show up at the city hall downtown in the parking lot along the parking strip. Overnight, there's a camp there.
Yeah, at the height, there was over 100 people.
Right.
And, it's the city hall occupies a city block, 4 square, and it had camps, 3 of the 4 of the legs of it. So you brought up well-meaning people, which is great. Like, we too have a heart to help out. Our officers are helping people out. I've seen them be very generous to people. But the key is knowing what the need is, not what you think the need is. So at the time, I was working during the day shift, and I would head over to City Hall to try to see what I could problem solve as people were camping there. And inevitably, house citizens show up and they're like, I want to help. And I want to drop off food. This was about Thanksgiving time. So Thanksgiving, people were saying, hey, I'm going to come by on Thursday. I'm going to drop stuff off. And I'd like, hey, have you coordinated that with anybody? Nope. Just my family. We've decided we're going to do it. You multiply that by a couple dozen people that are on addition to already organizations that had planned Thanksgiving feeds. What we had on Thanksgiving weekend, because people would have their Thanksgiving and then show up with the leftovers on Friday. That weekend was mayhem with turkey carcasses, stuffing, potatoes, green bean casserole, rolls. Imagine just the typical American Thanksgiving table, but an entire city block.
Yeah.
And people that are full, and it's just still sitting there with no means to get rid of it. So that's what was happening is people would come up and they're tossing blankets out. It's going to get cold. They're tossing blankets out, and we would inevitably come by the next day and throw dumpsters full of blankets because people didn't want these blankets or didn't need blankets. They needed other things. And I remember taking people, when I could, take people for a walk around the camp. And I'd have
the city hall camp.
The city hall camp. I'd give them a spiel of, here, it's critical that you know what the need is before you start solving the problem. And by no means did I pretend to know what the core problem was, but I could tell on the individual level on many of the people there, I knew what their barriers were and what their needs were. And so I'd come across people and they'd say, hey, I got a great solution for this homeless problem. We need to build more homes. And that's one of the many solutions that are out there. It's not wrong, but not everybody wants to live in a home. And that I could see people like cause them to step back and think for a second, like, what are you talking about? And I would say, who are you to say how this person should live? Because I know several people out there, many don't want to be sheltered. They love living the outdoor life. They love camping, and that's just what they want to do. And then others will, we need to get some more job resources. Awesome. That would be great too. But not everybody here wants a job. Not everybody here is employable. You may have a job at your bakery that you want, but maybe the person doesn't qualify because they can't keep a food handler's card. But I don't know. But it's on an individual level. So one day I was taking a person for a walk and I'm giving them this spiel, and I get to the end of it and I mentioned to them about how not everybody wants to be sheltered. And I am standing at this tent, and I could never forget. I don't know who this person is that's in the tent. It is a person who I didn't know, someone new to our area. Tent is closed. I don't even know there's somebody in this tent. And I say, like, not everybody wants to have a home. And the guy from inside screams out, hey man, brother, all I want to do is smoke weed and live free.
And you didn't set him up for this.
I couldn't have set it up any better if I tried. And just to look at this person, like, throw my hands up, like, what do you say to that? To that end, there are people down there that did need a job. There are people down there that did need a blanket, that did need food. But it wasn't the vast majority. So what I started seeing is there's a disconnect between all the helping agencies that are around to actually help solve the problem.